So welcome to the CloudTimes CEO series today. Today I have Razi Sharir, CEO of Xeround with us. Welcome, good to meet you.
Hi, my pleasure, nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about Xeround and give us a little bit background on your company.
So Xeround was actually founded way back in 2005 on a different premise. We hit the road with the premise of becoming an OLTP heavy-duty database for telco operations. And then after a few years being in the telco operations in a fairly successful manner, we've decided to explore other opportunities. And then, in fact, I joined the company early last year to redirect the company using the core pedigree, the core telco certified genes, and moving into a public cloud arena, which is what we've been doing for the past year or so.
Okay, so who are the founders of Xeround?
The founders are no longer with the company. I'm an appointed CEO. I left the company, but there are also folks who've been very renowned in the industry, in the Israeli industry, and VCs and founders. Both of them have been very experienced folks with previous exits on their cloud board. So I think that we're pretty much set for a good start.
Okay. And we're here in beautiful Mountain View. That's your U.S. office, but is that where you're originally from, or
no.
Where were you founded?
So the company was founded in Israel. The R&D center is still in Israel. The majority of our employees are back in Israel, supporting the R&D and ongoing development coming out in the new releases. The business side of the house is here in the Valley, in Silicon Valley, and our office is here in Mountain View. This is where we are actually rebooting the company in a sense.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about how you're funded and kind of which stage you are there?
We were funded by 4 VCs, 2 Israeli ones and 2 US-based ones.
Okay.
So that's a pretty good distribution. Very well-renowned, large VCs, Benchmark, Ignition, Trilogy, and Giza. So I think we're very well set in terms of VC funding. We have enough cushioning and funding going forward, so we're not that concerned on the financial side. So looking at the funding state, where the company is, the offering, and where we want to go, I think we were very well set to a good future for us.
Okay, excellent. So going a little bit into your product of Xeround, can you give us a little bit your value proposition of Xeround and what you're exactly doing?
So I think that the key issue to bring to the discussion when reviewing surrounding in general and databases in particular is that we offer service. We offer database as a service, what the DBAAS known. So in a sense, we're playing in the same arena like the infrastructure as a service and platform as a service at the dot as a service world, which is the new Web 2.0 cloud-oriented type of offering. Not that many other competition out there at this point in time. It's mostly Amazon and others.
Yeah.
But the point for discussion is the service point, as I mentioned earlier. So if you are used to consuming databases in the traditional manner on your local enterprise or telco, and you've been using Oracle or Microsoft SQL Server or DB2 Express or whatever, you're pretty much bound, and we're limited to a very large storage, tightly and highly optimized for specific hardware, for specific InfiniBand high-end stuff, to get the great performance going out of there. Take this beast and put them into a virtualized container and then run them in a general cloud. Well, good luck. It doesn't really work, and if it does work, it works with lots of limitations. This is exactly where we fit in. Our core database is significantly different. Underneath the hood, we're a NoSQL database. The closest thing you can think of compared to architectural-wise to what we do is Hadoop. Hadoop is a distributed file system. We're a distributed object store with distributed hash tree on top of it and indexes where our partners are. Okay. So underneath the hood, we're a scalable, super distributed database. While on top, we provide a super customized front end that enables you to run any flavor of your choice to access the database, any industry standard type of based application. So you can access our database with XML, with LDAP, with ANSI SQL, and in this particular case in the cloud with the MySQL front end. We're plugging into the MySQL storage engine, so there's no claim that we are not compatible. We're 100% MySQL compatible.
Before we go to the different platforms that you're also compatible with, I want to hear a little bit more about the scalability and elasticity that you just mentioned. So how scalable is Xeround? And so how do you compare yourself?
Right, so scalability, keep in mind where we come from. We come in from a telco-grade environment, so scalability is not an option on the menu. Scalability and high availability are 2 bullets that are bound to be part of the infrastructure that we bring on board. They are non-negotiable and are not discussable. So specifically out of the gate, we go with the multiple replicas, and these multiple replicas get distributed across multiple virtual partitions, which is our patents. And these virtual partitions get spread across multiple virtual machines, which we take. And these virtual machines could be spread across multiple data centers, which is the multi-data center capability. So if you take all of these together and put them together, each and every one of the databases that running on our service would be bits and pieces spread all over the place. It's not a single file that you can run on a virtual machine, and if you die, tough luck. Or if you need to scale it, you need to add on additional virtual machines. When we add virtual machines, these are virtual machines that add power in a linear mode. So we can continuously add virtual machines as we need them to reflect throughput and traffic and data size, and we can shrink them back when we don't need them on the fly, so that we are very tightly optimized on the cost and optimally on the OpEx side. So when we scale out, literally scaling out, this is something that doesn't need any configuration on the application side. You don't need to add machines, to add nodes, to change the application. It's done automatically. Let's go back to the initial discussion point. It's a service-oriented offering.
Yeah.
You get an IP, an address, you load the schema, you click a button, and you're in the air. You don't need to really care as an application developer how to scale it, how to care about it, how to make it high level, well does it run. Why would you care?
Well, while we're talking about that, so for viewers from Europe, how does it compare to Europe actually? Is that a very US-centric system that you have, or is scalability, elasticity a different issue if the company is using it from Europe?
Okay, so the two things to be said here. One is that we assume, and this is industry practice, is that the payload always runs in the same place. So if you're running in the US, you would expect your applications and database to run on the same data center. Vice versa, if you're running in Europe, you would expect the database and application to be run on the same data center. So for instance, we run on Amazon in the US East, so we have US-based applications running on US East and Amazon and use our services on US East databases. And the users in Europe run in US in Ireland, in the Amazon in Ireland, providing service from Ireland to Europe.
So you can do it on Amazon Ireland as well.
So they can do it on Amazon Ireland. The nice thing about it is in the last disaster on Amazon, when Amazon Ireland went down, we triggered, our monitoring services triggered the disaster, found out the disaster is coming in, and moved the databases of the European-based users while they were running to US East to maintain service. So we found out that something is coming up and made sure that the users kept on running. Some of them didn't even know that we were moving them around.
Okay.
Same applies to the previous disaster on Amazon in the US. Amazon US, remember the colossal EBS thing? It went down. Most of the users went down. We kept on running because we don't only rely on EBS. We run on several other supported platforms as well. So we're super highly available, and that's a part of being a service.
Talking about the platform, so you just mentioned Amazon. I've seen some recent announcements as well in cooperations for you with Heroku and with Rackspace as well. Can you tell a bit more about that, and maybe which additional platforms might be coming up in the future?
So let me make a differentiation between the platforms and the clouds. So cloud, specifically cloud providers, we're running on Amazon in the US and Europe. We're running on Rackspace in the US East. Okay. And we will be expanding into a couple more clouds and a couple more data centers within the same clouds that we're already running on. So that's one thing. Regarding platforms, luckily for us, we integrated with Heroku way back when we started, and Heroku is as the leader for platforms that set the tone for the way integration should be built in terms of APIs. Yeah. So there's a bunch of other platforms that would be coming out in the next few months, and they are currently staging and testing, that essentially most of them use to some degree the same API that Heroku was drafted. So the integration is not that great of a thing for us, other than some nuances of adapting to the service. Again, going back to a service angle, we're trying to stick to what we do best, which is databases. So everything we can plug into, like a camper moving around at night at different campsites, we plug into the monitoring and provisioning and billing, and wherever we come in, we plug to as many services out there that are available, and we provide on the flip side the database services. So we're trying to shy away from reinventing the wheel, but rather do provide a service which is very robust and highly capable of providing these very rich feature sets. We're cloud agnostic, that's the beauty of it.
I remember well, there must have been a bit more than a year now at Dreamforce when Salesforce introduced database.com. Can you give us a little bit your take on it, and also kind of how it differentiates actually from your service?
So what we're seeing in the market today, we're seeing two major players or vendors, gorillas I call them, out there that are providing database as a service. One of them is Amazon RDS, which are already listed. which is the same old MySQL with its own limitations. I won't go into it. It's a decent, relevant service if you're willing to live with its limitations. The other one would be Salesforce.com, or what they call database.com. Now, need to keep in mind that database.com underneath the hood, if I'm not mistaken, is running the same old Oracle. Oracle is not that great of a platform when it comes to multi-tenancy, when it comes to being very efficient on the operation and very effective on the cost, factoring in the numbers. They try. So that's one thing. On top of it, Salesforce or database.com at the end of the day requires you to run in a single location on their data center. So it won't be a cloud agnostic solution, and would not even provide for a full-blown SQL interface. It's a REST interface. So if you're looking for a full-blown SQL interface that can run anywhere, if you don't like it, you can move it, with a click on a button. I don't think that either of these guys would be a valid solution for them. With Amazon, you're stuck on Amazon. With Salesforce, you're stuck on Salesforce. With that, you can move anywhere you wish.
While we're talking about competitors, one competitor, NimbusDB, seems a little bit closer to what you're offering. Can you tell us about NimbusDB and how you're differentiating from them?
Yeah, so NimbusDB, or in the new name NuoDB, I believe that's how it's pronounced. They've changed the name.
Okay.
Doing or claiming that they do similar things to what we do. They are not direct competition to us in two senses. One is that their claim for fame is scalability and performance. My silver bullet going to market is not performance. I'm not competing against the super high-end, NoSQL, Hadoop-based, enterprise grade type of databases. I'm sticking to a SQL offering. So I can provide a super scalable and highly available SQL service in a cloud, which is not the typical common practice you would see around there. So going back to Nimbus, Nimbus offers a scalable, they claim they do offer a scalable solution. It's a downloadable software. It's not a service, so they don't even have the service angle in there. So if you're looking for a database as a service, they will not be necessarily competition to us. If you're looking for a super highly available service that is also super scalable and super simple, they would again not be direct competition. We'll have to see what the future holds for them. They are early alpha, or I don't know if they're still in the beta or not. They're very early on. Again, Jim Starkey, who's one of the founders and CTO, is a legendary DB guy and has all the credit due, and I give it to him naturally. I mean, I have a lot of learning to do from this guy, but they have yet a long way to prove what they do and how they do it before they can claim competition to us, because we're commercially available and running literally worldwide.
Okay. Talking about big data analytics, what's your take on big data analytics and how important is it for your company?
So big data analytics is an emerging market. We've seen it over the past year picking up, literally going through the roof. And big data analytics is kind of a weird scenario, because on one hand it's a NoSQL type of engine. Most of them write the Hadoop engine and then have some customization on top of it for visualization and reporting capabilities, which is on its own. It's a very tough area to compete in. And second, big data does also is trying to be appealing to enterprise customers, which most of them have all of their data in a SQL environment. So it's kind of a mix and match in a sense. In my opinion, big data is the new OLAP. So what used to be in the year 2000 the OLAP cubes that everybody was chasing, big data is the new incarnation of the OLAP. It's the new modern age type of super fast, super efficient data crunching engines. This is the one and only use case we don't do, period, and won't do. And the reason being very, very simple. We're a distributed database, so if I need to do a full table scan and bring data from all of my nodes running anywhere in the globe, it will take forever. Whereas their assumption is that everything runs in a very singular location, and they can take advantage of the hardware and software and high-end super capability of the software processing power. So this is the use case we don't chase. What we would down the road offer to our customers is an interface to a BI vendor who would be sucking data from Xeround on an additional replica that we would make available for this particular reason, and then they can run the reporting or whatever high-end super computer data crunching without affecting the OLTP use case of the house and while running parallel. So it's a comparable. It's not comparable. It's an additional complementing service to our offering. It's not the competition, and it's not the replacement.
Okay. All right. Understood. So what's next for Xeround?
So going to market and looking for the next year or so, there are two areas where we want to place additional focus. Currently, we offer a pay-per-use, one-size-fits-all type of databases, and we're looking into providing a little bit more of a tiering, clusterizing the offering, so it will be built to a more snug fit for the small databases for the masses. So we will be going to market with a very wide distribution all over the place for small databases, anywhere from zero cost to very minimal cost. That's on the low end. Whilst on the high end, we are working diligently on our next generation cross-cloud PRP, which would enable customers to eventually run their databases in multiple places at the same time, whether running on the same cloud providers, whether running on private clouds versus public, or any mixed combination in between. So that would be taking care of all of the Amazon colossal disasters and the likes.
Growth plans, hiring plans in the US?
So we're hiring, yeah, we're hiring. We're growing on the two ends of the business. One is on the marketing product at business side, and the other one would be on the product support, sales engineering, and so on. So this is growth in the US base that we are now re-jump starting. And we've had thousands of users on our platform, and the rate so far has been picking up very nicely. And the more cloud and platforms we add, I'm sure the numbers will keep growing, and we're very satisfied with what we've seen so far. So I'm holding my fingers crossed.
Excellent. That sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.